Attention. Due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hello, everybody. You thought I was going to say, hey there, everybody. Well, I am going to say it. Hey there, everybody. It's episode 121 of the Civil Gore podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. Tim threw us a curveball there. That was unexpected.
I've been trying to think of a different intro, but I can't think of one that's any better than that. I mean, it's kind of my trademark now, so I have to keep doing it.
But remember, this is season 3 where everything we try works. So
that's right. That's true. It's a magical season, which means season 4 is going to be a complete disaster.
Oh my god, an unmitigated disaster. I'm like so worried what's going to happen in season 4. Can we just keep season 3 forever? Like it'll be season 3, volume 2?
Yeah, because after the third sequel, things really start going downhill. So
yeah, I mean we could technically go to space by that point if we wanted.
Yeah,
Hellraiser did. We can wait for a little bit to like season 10 and go to space.
No, we need to do Civil Gore podcast season 4, A New Beginning.
Right. Or final chapter. Should it be final chapter? Or would that make Cody a little nervous if we said that?
Probably. We better not do that. Yeah. We're getting more listeners now. We don't want to do the final chapter too soon.
That's true. No final chapters.
All right. So we have a kind of a shorter episode this week because our dismemberment was really short again. I guess I may have spoke too soon on the post-Halloween slump Blu-ray thing.
Yeah.
Apparently we're back in slump mode. So
maybe, yeah.
We'll get right to it, guys. This is our first chop. All right, Brian. So my 40 Years of Terror project continues. I was actually going to skip this week because I didn't think I'd have time to sneak one in, and I actually did end up getting one in that I had never seen. And you might be surprised that I've never seen this one.
Yeah, that's one of those ones that I'm surprised you haven't.
This is one that's kind of slipped through the cracks. That is Dead Ringers from 1988. Of course, David Cronenberg's classic, starring Jeremy Irons as twins, which is kind of cool. And, Brian, when I was watching this movie, I was like, Jeremy Irons is like an actor's actor. Like when you think of like great actors, he's got to be right on up there. I mean, he's up there
with the Lithgow.
Yeah. I mean, he does such interesting, weird films, so I really, really liked his performance in this. And, of course, it's 1988. They didn't have the benefit of CGI, so you could definitely tell when they were using a double for him. And so it was kind of fun, like, picking apart how they made him a twin in this by clever editing and use of doubles and stuff. That was part of the fun of it. But it was an interesting movie. I really liked it, and I don't know that I'd probably have to watch it again to fully understand all the nuances of it and the whole meaning behind it. But it was actually pretty entertaining. And, of course, he plays twin brother gynecologist who have some very weird relationship. I don't know what you call them, quirks. It seems too tame for that. Basically,
a little bit.
Basically, one of the twins, he will have a relationship with a woman, and then when he gets tired of her, he just gives her to the other twin. So it's a very messed up thing. And then, of course, with David Cronenberg, you've obviously got the body horror element coming in, and it's really, really neat. But it's not weird in like a David Lynchian fashion by any means. It's definitely very straightforward. It's just kind of creepy.
Yeah, I mean, if he used that twin sharing thing for good, like if he realized, you know what, I just don't have enough time to donate my time at the homeless shelter, I'm going to send the other one.
Yeah.
Like, that's acceptable. Yeah, this not so much.
So, very interesting movie, Dead Ringers, 1988. Go check it out. Tim Bob says 3.5 stars.
How many foos in it? Is there twin foo?
There was a gynecological instrument for mutant women foo.
Oh, now that you don't get that one very often at all.
So
that was a good one, though. You got there. You got that out pretty good. Yeah. That's a mouthful.
So I also saw another movie this weekend that I've been wanting to see, and that was Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Oh, you watched that also? Look at that. We both watched that.
It'll be interesting to hear your take on it, Brian, because I had a problem with this movie that you may not have had.
Well, since I did not read the books, I know of them, but I did not read them. I thought it was okay. I enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't. Well, I will say this: that it shows that you could get a really serviceable and effective PG-13 horror movie out there. I know a lot of people criticize those, and some people will even pass on them. This one, I think, was really good in terms of the creepy factor. I thought it did well with the PG-13, and maybe actually it even helped it because they didn't make it like just over the top gore for gore's sake, which I know that sounds funny coming from a podcast named Civil Gore, but we do appreciate the good horror. So I mean, I definitely enjoyed it. I watched it on the plane out to California, so I had some, I had it all set and ready, so I watched it and I enjoyed it. I did notice like there was something off about it, and maybe you'll shed the light onto that. I don't know what it was. But I still say I still enjoyed it though. I'm not going to put it up there on a pedestal of horror films, but
yeah,
but I did enjoy it.
Well, let me tell you the good I liked. I did like the references to the books because I did grow up reading the books, so I did like all the references there, and I thought that was neat seeing some of those characters come to life and stuff. I really liked that aspect of it. The problem I had, and at the risk of sounding prudish. And I know this was a PG-13 movie, and I actually let Anna and Joshua watch this one.
Oh, wow.
Now, granted, they're a little young for it, and that's on me. And they were fine. They handled it fine. It wasn't a big deal. But I did have a problem with all the cussing in it. And I know, it sounds like a total prude saying that. But in my mind, if you're going to have a movie based off a series of children's books, and we've had movies like Goosebumps come out that were perfectly family-friendly. And I'm not saying this one had to be family-friendly because Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was supposed to be scary. And I get that. But,
and in the dark.
Yeah. But this movie is based off a series of children's books. You have got to expect there's going to be kids and there's going to be parents who grew up with these books wanting to bring their kids. And the amount of just needless profanity in this movie really irritated me because it was completely unnecessary. It was like they were just throwing it in there because they could get away with it because it was PG-13. And I as a parent, I just had a problem with that. And I know it sounds dumb, and if you didn't have kids, like, oh, Tim's being a prude. Yeah, I've seen
in that voice too.
Yeah, I've gone to PG-13 movies. We went to see Jumanji. Jumanji had maybe one or two cuss words in it. That's fine. This was like every word out of their mouth was a freaking cuss word for no reason. And I was like, and I'm sitting there going, I want my kids to see this movie and enjoy it. And they can't really because I'm having to cover their ears every 2 seconds.
Yeah. And because it's tricky. It's one thing to like, if they're okay with the horror because they've, I'm sure they're a little they absorb just through osmosis the horror a little bit, and I mean if you think about it, like Gremlins had some and they love that, you said, and that didn't have really a lot of cussing in it. I mean, I think they're trying to probably get the realistic, like these kids would probably, that's the way they talk, so I could see why they did it, but I see what you mean. I mean, not as a parent right now, I'm just coming as like to show you the difference. It didn't even dawn on me that there was a lot of it because I think it's so commonplace now. So, and I was looking at it as like, I'm going to watch this for me, not as with a kid. If I watched it with children, I probably would have screened it first.
Like every sentence I was cringing. Now, I did not quite understand either why it was set in the 60s. Did that make any sense to you?
No, I didn't realize why that either, unless they wanted. I don't know the book, so I mean, in my head, that's when it was. I don't know.
There's nothing in the books that references the 60s.
Oh, so there's no time period?
I didn't get that. Maybe I'm missing something completely obvious. And I know there was a thin plot line about the guy going off to Vietnam and that kind of stuff. But I mean, you could have set that anywhere and made the same excuse for him going off somewhere. So it was just weird to me. I don't know why. I was like, again, you got this movie that's pretty much geared towards kids or their parents who are about my age, and it's set in the 60s, which nobody has any frame of reference for. That's why they brought it up to date to the 80s, so the parents would have a frame of reference.
Right.
And there's like nothing there. I just didn't understand it, so that kind of bugged me the whole movie. So I enjoyed it. I mean, I thought the horror stuff was good, and it was really strong for a PG-13 movie. I just had some problems from a parental side.
Right.
And again, I completely understand. I was letting my kids younger than 13 watch this, so that's on me, but I've let them see other PG-13 movies that weren't near this gratuitous with their profanity, and I just saw a lot of it was
Yeah,
unnecessary.
you'll probably need to watch it again, like by yourself, to really, because you're probably distracted too at that point. Once
Yeah,
that
probably
started,
was.
you're probably focusing on, okay, when is the next time I need to clear the air? I mean, yeah, just not that we don't dwell on this one too long because it's not our feature movie. But I thought the performances of the cast was really strong. I liked the cast a lot. The cast was extremely likable. I thought they did a great job with that. And you know what it is? I think, and this criticism is not. It's probably not fair. It's probably, this is, again, like you said, the parental thing was on you. This one might be on me. In my head, I thought it was going to be more of an anthology in my head. And I went in thinking that, so I was like, when the hell are they getting to these stories in the beginning? But then I realized, well, you know what? That's me. Who said it was an anthology? It never said it was an anthology. So I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's my fault. So I think in the beginning, it took me a while to get into the, just a little bit longer than it should have to get in the movie. And I'm going to watch it again because, you watch a movie on a plane also is kind of not the best scenario. So I plan to actually watch again because Julie kept peering over a little bit. So it seemed like she had some interest in it. So I'll probably rewatch it. I bought the Blu-ray for it and, I want to watch some of the special features. So I'll watch it again. It's definitely a good, serviceable horror film. I think Tim and I both need to rewatch it again in fairness to it and not have our things going on with it. But
yeah, well, this is going to be the episode where everybody hates me from here on out because
I know. Well, they might hate both of us then technically when we get to the feature film.
I don't know why we've become hard to please there, Brian. I don't know what's we're getting cantankerous in our old age.
Well, when you watch a lot of movies, and we just watched about 30 of them in a month, or 30 plus in a month. I think so if you magnify that to over 3 years of time with what we've watched a lot. So I think now we're allowed to be cantankerous just a little bit.
Yeah.
But so we'll jump a little side. This is going to be just a few minutes just because it's really not truly horror related. But as you know, Tim and I are big Star Wars fans. When I was out in California for a wedding, I was there with my in-laws and my wife's family, who are awesome, by the way. And we were hanging out one night. We kind of did almost like a faux Christmas dinner, holiday dinner, since we won't be out there for the holidays. And so my brother-in-law brought over the Oculus Quest.
Ooh, I want to hear about this.
Yeah, so the Oculus, I thought it was the Rift, but when I found out what the difference is, so the Oculus Quest relies on no tethering to your phone. So it all does it through the headset. And for the price point, it's not much different than the Rift, so this is the one I think better to get. So he first started me off with just one of the basic games, which is Space Quest games. And I've played tons of virtual reality. I have my own little one, one of those. I had the Google Glass we had, and I had the some cheap one where I put my phone in. I played with the that Jedi Challenges one. So I was interested to see how this one would be. And I was so blown away at the immersion of this thing when he put on the basic. I was playing the spaceship game where it was like the controllers were my guns and I was shooting. So I was off at on the deck of this spaceship and I was shooting all these ships that came my way. And just you look around every single direction. It's so immersive. And one of the coolest things I thought that he put up what he called a perimeter. So you set a perimeter around you. And so if you try and walk because you're so immersed, you cannot see anything. So it's very disorienting at first. So if you take a step, you don't want to walk into a lamp and knock it over. So you set this perimeter, and when you actually in the game, the perimeter has this this grid wall that it tells you when you're there, and if you walk through it, you actually see your surroundings again. It's almost so you see there's my couch. Okay, there's that. So I think, which to me is a feature never would have thought to include. A great feature, though, especially someone who's klutzy like me who doesn't need a virtual reality goggle to stumble upon things. So I was playing this game, and this was just unreal, the immersion. Unreal. And the second I saw this, I'm like, all right, I might have to buy this. Well, then he said, of course, now you have to try Vader Immortal, which was the big Star Wars release for this system.
Yeah.
Which it's funny, and I saw previews of it, but without the virtual reality, I'm like, it looks kind of like a boring thing. So anyway, I'm playing. I decided to go, but he's like, here, play episode 1. So I put on the goggles. I'm getting ready to play this. And within about 2 minutes, I'm like, oh my God, this thing rivals The Void. It's that immersive.
Really? The graphics are that good?
The graphics are that good. And because the immersion is so well, it just surrounds you so much that like there are sequences where you're in space and you're looking down and it looks like you're, you see for miles. And there's a sequence later when you're walking in, not to spoil it, but I mean, if anyone that's seen it, you basically end up on Mustafar. So you are walking in this invader's castle on these pipes, and you look down, and it looks like you're 1,000 feet up. And I was like hesitant to walk, kind of like when we did that Ghostbusters one. And so there's like, it's so realistic. It's you don't want to move, and it's so cool because at one point you're armed with like a hydro spanner in one hand and a lightsaber in the other. And, so you like reach down and you grab stuff, and it's so crazy realistic. And when Darth Vader appears, my brother-in-law, he's like, you're actually going to get like, it's actually, you see why Darth Vader is so intimidating to people when you see it in this setting. And it's true because he walks right up to you and he's so big. And I'm like, he said my head was like turned up and I was looking up at him like as I would have. And it's, oh my God. And it's just, there's lightsaber battles. There's things you have to like, just these puzzles to figure out. And it's just, oh my God. I don't want to go into too many details to spoil it, but let's just say this is a guaranteed purchase for me once I have I'm going to obviously start to put aside some funds for this, because I think the Oculus Quest is about $400. I think the first episode of the Vader thing is only $9.99. But what I really want for this is because of the horror element. I know there's a bunch of horror games, including that Exorcist Legion VR.
Oh man!
So I figured I gotta try that. Yeah, so and from what I heard, it's gotten great reviews, so I want to see that too. So yeah, so I wanted to give just a quick little summary on that because oh my God, Tim, you got to try this thing.
I want to try one so bad.
Maybe we'll share it. We'll keep tweeting about it, and maybe they'll just say, "Oh, Civil Gore." Maybe they'll review it for us.
Yeah,
here's a couple of these headsets.
Here's every horror game we make for it. Please review.
Yeah, so you never know. But
all right, guys. So let's get into our very short but sweet dismemberment.
Wait, no, please, God, no, don't cut off my...
Okay, these are the Blu-ray releases for 11/19. I can't believe we're almost through November already. It's like this month is flying by. And Disney Plus comes out tomorrow as we're recording this.
Yeah, and then we're gonna be getting into our holiday fun. We have like a fun holiday episode for Thanksgiving coming up, or Black Friday to be more specific. We have a huge and of course our huge fun list of holiday horror movies, our holiday gift guide. I can't believe it's here already.
And I think we're going to do, I think we're going to have to do this, Brian. I know you don't have to download it, guys, if you don't want to. But I think I want to just do an episode of me and Brian watching Planes, Trains, and Automobiles together.
Oh, yeah, that's a given. That'll be a bonus episode. If it'll be like the Patreon episode if we had a Patreon.
Yeah, and I don't think it's even going to be us, like, making funny commentary. I think it's just going to be us laughing and quoting lines the entire time.
Probably, yeah. It will just be cracking up through most of it. So, it's definitely one of those optional downloads for you if you want.
All right, so let's get right to it. We have one 4K reissue, which is Suspiria. This is the original. That looks pretty cool. I don't know how it differs from the other disc. I just saw that it was a 4K reissue. So I know there's been several versions of this that have been put out with the remastered film. And if you go search, there's tons of debate on which version is the best one to get. I don't have a 4K TV yet.
Yeah, next year is my 4K TV year, I believe. When I'm going to pull the plug. I said pull the plug. I meant pull the trigger.
Yeah,
pull the plug, it wouldn't work.
Well, we're seriously looking at houses next year.
Right.
So I'm trying to hold off buying a TV until I know which house I'm going to
Oh, yeah, no, don't. Because I made that mistake. I bought a TV and then for an apartment and that didn't fit. But then now that when we moved into the house and then the new apartment, it fits great. But for a couple of years, I had a TV that was too big for my apartment.
Yeah. So I just figured I'd just wait. And I mean, they're not going to get any more expensive.
Oh, my God. If anything, it'll get cheaper. So you get two for the price of what you're paying now.
Really? So as far as our official releases, we have the first one up is from Well Go USA. This is The Divine Fury from 2019. This is billed as a Korean action horror movie. And the summary does not give the trailer enough credit. It says,
my God, yeah.
An MMA fighter helps an exorcist fight evil. But the trailer is really, really cool. I actually liked it.
Yeah, this looks like almost this like high-tech supernatural exorcist version of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kind of thing. It's like a lot of cool stuff going on in this trailer. And I like when I looked at it, I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be cheesy. I wish I would have saw that it was a Korean horror film, because they have been knocking it out of the park. I mean, with Train to Busan, which was amazing. Everyone I've seen, I've loved. So I was like, if I would have seen that it was actually a Korean horror film, I wouldn't have even like for a second doubted it. And if it lives up to this trailer, it's going to be another hit.
Yeah,
another
it looks really,
absolute
really
hit.
And I like the idea of blending action and horror together. I think that's cool. So
yeah, I mean, it worked. Listen, it worked with on a different level of like from for the Rob Zombies sequels. And it's genre blending is fine. I mean, horror comedy, why not make horror action, and why not make we saw a horror western that we loved,
and why not make horror romantic comedy where a guy falls in love with a corpse.
Yeah, I think they have that girl. Actually, technically,
they probably do. Yeah,
Warm Bodies could be considered
that's true.
that possibly.
That's considered a horror romantic
but yeah,
comedy.
but I think more like the full on romantic comedy tropes. Like,
yeah,
but
we need to kickstart that one, Brian.
Yes. Yes, I think we could do that. Actually, you know what I was thinking, because when I was there, my in-laws, one of the things my mother-in-law watches all the time. She has that Hallmark holiday channel on. It's always kind of playing in the background. I think she puts it on. She likes it, but also I think she puts it on for the dogs when we leave the house. But and
I'm sure the dogs love it.
Yeah, they were thrilled, but and they actually, they were already doing all their like holiday, like Christmas movies, and I'm like, they're pretty much like, it's so funny, like every time I walked in and it was a different movie, it was the same movie, just different actor. That's that whole running joke. But how great would be a horror version of one of those cheesy romantic Christmas comedies? That has not been done yet, I don't think.
No, that's a good idea. And I've already decided this year that I'm going to fully embrace the Hallmark holiday movie. I'm going all in on it this year.
See, but now we need to make the horror version of it.
Yeah, because I mean, I did so much horror for this horror movie challenge, and then with this 1,000 movie list I'm going through, like I've really like hit horror movies hard this year, and I need to cleanse at the end of the year. I'm going full Hallmark, baby, all the way.
So that'll be Tim's side podcast.
Yeah,
I'm not sure the title of that one yet, but
we'll think of if you guys got good titles for my Hallmark Christmas movie podcast, let me know. And Kev's with me; he loves those. So.
Oh no, you know what? There's something bad. I mean, I don't watch those all the time, those Hallmark ones, but I do like a good holiday movie. Like I think we mentioned before, like Ernest Saves Christmas is one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah. So yeah.
All right, so next up from Shout Factory, we've got The Fan from 1981. Douglas, a record salesman, is an obsessive fan of actress Sally Ross. When his letters are rejected, he strikes out at her and her loved ones.
I used to watch this on HBO all the time. It always was on, with Lauren Bacall, and she was really good. And it's funny, it was just Misery was on today, and I watched that, and I forgot she was in it. She had that, she played the, kind of a small role as James Caan's agent. So okay. I forgot she was in that, and then it's so funny. And then this popped up on our dismemberment today. The great Lauren Bacall, and yeah, that was this movie. I still remember this trailer that I watched for this was almost a trailer similar to the what they always used to show on HBO, which was kind of funny when they would show the ad for it. So yeah, this was kind of brought back some nice memories. This
because when I first saw it, I mean, in mind, I'm thinking the 1996.
Oh, Robert De Niro
movie.
Oh my God, which is another one that nothing I love more than crazy Robert De Niro, and that movie, just with all the crazy things he does. That's another movie line where I quote a million of his lines. That and This Boy's Life, but yeah. So that's what. Yeah, no, this is definitely not that movie.
Well, this one has a new interview called "Number One Fan," an interview with actor Michael Biehn. New fan service, an interview with director Edward Bianchi. New Fanning the Flames, an interview with editor Alan Heim. I can't see anymore.
Look what's coming up.
And new audio commentary with cult film director David DeCoteau. and film historian David Del Val, moderated by Scream Factory marketing director Jeff Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah, film historian. All right, theatrical trailer, TV spot, still gallery. So
Yes.
another decent Shout Factory disc.
Yeah, and it's got Hector Elizondo in it. So you know that's a sign of a good movie when
That's right.
Hector Elizondo appears.
Yeah. This next one is our pick of the week, I think.
Yeah.
Brian.
I don't know if we picked it for its quality or any reason, because I have not seen this, but it may have been a musical pick of the week.
Yeah, I think we just picked it just because, well, for me, I picked it because it's 70s. But
True,
this one
true.
is, I will have to say, is pretty low budget, even for
Yeah.
70s, even for a 70s movie. So this one is called Hitchhike to Hell from 1977. This is an Arrow Collector's Edition. Howard is a mild-mannered young man who drives a truck for a commercial laundry. He's also a mother-obsessed psycho who picks up young female hitchhikers, rapes them, and kills them. As the bodies start piling up, the police finally begin to investigate.
Finally, I like that they
Finally.
added finally. Well, there's 7 dead bodies. Okay, that's we got to
That's the
step in
limit.
now. Yeah.
This is a brand new 2K restoration from the original film Elements, a 133 and 178 version of the feature. I'll skip over the English subtitles and stuff. Newly filmed appreciation by Nightmare USA author Stephen Thrower. Road to Nowhere, Hitchhiking Culture Goes to Hell. Brand new video essay by Alexandra Heller-Nicholas exploring the dark side of hitchhiking in the real world and on the screen. That kind of sounds interesting, actually.
Yeah, actually, that sounds like a documentary that almost sounds like it could have been released on its own.
Yeah.
You know?
Original theatrical trailer, original press book if you have a Blu-ray drive in your computer, and reversible sleeve featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by the Twins of Evil.
I thought that was like, is that like the Soska sisters?
I guess.
But I don't think it is.
And we got to talk about this trailer because it has one of the more interesting soundtrack choices I've heard in quite some time.
Yeah. Because it's kind of got like this, almost like, what did you call it? I said it was kind of a little bit of country to it.
It's like a folksy. I almost said like a Joan Baez kind of feel,
Yeah.
or just a folksy song called "Hitchhike to Hell." I guess is what it's called.
Yeah, and that's what's great, because I love when they take a title that has no business being a song, but yet they find a song for it.
I mean, that could be an AC/DC title. I can understand that.
Right.
But I wasn't expecting on a hitchhike to hell. Da, da, da,
It's
John
almost
Denver.
like it's kind of too pleasant.
Yeah.
It's too pleasant to
But
have.
I love that.
kind of.
I love it in the 70s movies when they do that. It'll be like it'll be like a Bigfoot movie or something.
Oh, like that one, right? Yeah, we saw
like
I had
Bigfoot's
one.
like ripping people apart, and it's like Sasquatch lived up in these hills.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah, didn't it have a great end credit song? That one.
Yeah. Oh, they're
was-
great. I love when the 70s go full folk.
Yeah, someone needs
For
to
no
do
reason.
like horror soundtracks of the 70s, like set, where they just take all these great funny songs,
But not the
from there.
orchestral ones, the actual folk songs.
Yeah, the ones with lyrics. Yes, lyrical versions. Yes.
Yeah.
This is good.
That-
And this one has the professor from Gilligan's Island in there too, which Russell Johnson, which is kind of funny. So yeah, maybe he may do much better job at saving somebody than how he did on the island.
He probably
yeah.
sings better than I do.
Yeah, I don't. Is he the one that sings it? I don't even know.
I don't know. I don't know who sings it.
We gotta find out. I was trying to look it up, but I couldn't find anything yet.
Yeah, I don't know
about
if that
that
one's made it to
soundtrack.
Amazon Music yet.
Yeah, and I
Hitchhike
don't
to
think
Hell.
it's. I was looking on Apple. It's definitely not there either. So
The last one on our list, yes, the last one, only 4 discs this week, is called Anyone Home? AKA Model Home from 2018.
it's always a bad sign when it's an AKA and neither one sound good.
Yeah, this is a Gravitas Ventures release. I was going to make Brian guess, but he watched the trailer before I
Accidentally,
Yeah.
I was on a roll. We had a little different schedule tonight, so I was trying to rush. We start a little earlier for something, and so I
He got
Didn't
over
need.
eager, yeah.
I did.
A single mother entertains a dangerous fantasy after she's recruited to live in an unsold property in an empty development. So yeah, I don't know much about this one. No special features listed. But speaking of fantasy, Brian, did you watch the Fantasy Island trailer?
Yes, that looks really interesting. That probably should have been in our first chop. I actually meant to include it because I did share it again. So it's one of those things. If we share it on Twitter and social media, do we really want to waste first chop space? But I mean, yeah, we can touch on it real quick. That actually looked really cool. I kind of like when they did a twist on that because there were some dark episodes of Fantasy Island.
Yeah.
I mean, most of it was lighthearted, but I remember there was one about some kind of ghost, and I remember it was really cool. And so I kind of like this one. Seems like it's super, super dark, which is kind of fun, I think.
I kind of like that because they take the campiness and just flip it into horror. I think that's kind of cool. It's a neat kind of mashup.
Yeah, man, Blumhouse just finding ways.
Just killing it.
Oh, and the Invisible Man trailer debuted too, which is another. I know we're kind of bleeding back into the first chop, but that was another one that looks really cool.
Yeah, and I like Elizabeth Moss and anything. So
she's
yeah,
awesome.
that one looked pretty cool too. And I'm glad they kept the Invisible Man character as just a complete a-hole, like I said in the original.
Yeah,
he's a total psychopath.
This even worse. Like this has him like super crazy. So yeah.
All right, so let's get to our main feature. We've been threatening this for a while, Brian. We were gonna review Haunt because for some reason I was looking on. I'm a member of all these horror groups on Facebook, and everybody was going on how great Haunt was, so much better than Hellfest. It's so good, it's awesome, and it's by the same writers of A Quiet Place, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh man, I can't wait. And when I watched it, and I didn't get it. I didn't like it as much as everybody else did. I'm not saying I didn't like it, period. I will have to say the second viewing, I liked it a little bit more than the first viewing. Get that out of the way. But I had some major problems with this movie, and Brian kind of felt the same way. And I don't know if I influenced you, Brian, or if you really came to that conclusion on your own, or how this came about. But that's what we're going to try to hash through in our main feature is, what is the deal with Haunt? Why does everybody like this movie? And for some reason, we don't like it.
I'll tell you this, I got even more now appreciation. Because remember, when I saw Hellfest the first time, I thought I was a little disappointed because I was so excited. But then when I rewatched it, I completely appreciated it way more and really got into it and really liked it the second time. So it's one of those situations, and I was hoping this would be the same. Watching this a second time basically made me want to watch Hellfest again to show you that that one even it made me like Hellfest even more. But I'll get to that why, I think. So
yeah, all right. Well, let's go through our standard little boilerplate intro here. The movie is Haunt from 2019, directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods, who also wrote it. Starring Katie Stevens as Harper, Will Britton as Nathan, Lauren Alissa McLean as Bailey, Shazi Raja as Angela, Shyler Helford as Mallory, and Philip Johnson Richardson as Ty Hoffman. On Halloween, a group of friends encounter an extreme, in quotes, haunted house that definitely needs to be in quotes. Haunted house that promises to feed on their darkest fears. The night turns deadly as they come to the horrifying realization that some nightmares are real.
Yeah.
So this is we are gonna have some spoilers in this. So fair warning. I'm gonna talk about some stuff that annoyed me.
Yeah.
In terms of general plot line, you do have Katie plays kind of a troubled young girl, which seems to be another trope that's starting to form with these Haunt movies for some reason. But she's kind of a troubled girl that goes with her friends, and they end up going to this extreme haunt, which is a little bit forced upon them, I would say, because they're kind of traveling to go to this other place that this one guy knows about.
But they didn't get there the right way. Like it was like almost like remember she pulled off the road and then it just appeared.
Exactly.
As if it was like you know what? They wanted to go there. Why not just make them go? That part was, to me, that was like a forced weird thing. I don't know what it was. That kind of bothered me, that part, actually.
Well, I think what it was is I think they dropped clues in the movie, and we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but I think they dropped clues in the movies that the haunters know more about these kids than they realize. But
That's
there's
true. Well,
no
yeah, they were, like, kinda
explanation for
following
why
him.
that is. Never in
Right.
the movie do we understand why they're after these particular kids and why they go through this convoluted series of things to get them to go to this particular haunt.
Right, and that's one of the notes I put down. I know it's jumping ahead a little bit, but this is kind of a whole theory to the whole, kind of like a summary to one of the whole reasons why I didn't like this movie. Now, normally, we've said this before, like we prefer Michael Myers. We don't know why he's evil. That's much better than coming up with a crazy little backstory history for him. You don't always need a backstory. But in this, I feel like this is one of those situations where it was too much of a plot not to give you something. It'd be different. It was like you said, it was there were these clues along the way kind of showing that they knew more about these kids, but then we need to know why.
Right.
You can't tease it to me. Now, if they just didn't have the teases and then they did this, it would be fine. But I think that's the problem. One of the problems, I think, is the constant teases and the little setups, but with no backstory. And I kind of even wrote, the haunt owners, which we'll get a little more into later, are it's like I kind of want to know more about them in this case because they're really bizarre and they have some kind of infatuation with facial
Distortion? Yeah.
What's the word? Julie and I were trying to figure this out. There's a word where with a mutilation. I don't know what it is. Modification. I don't know the exact
body
term.
modification. I don't know.
If someone knows the term, let us know. But yeah, it's where they where they would do crazy piercings and almost change the shape of a face through makeup
through implants and stuff.
And implants. Yeah, so
yeah, well, and that's the thing. I'll give you an example why this bugged me. I loved Houses in Octoberville. Similar premise. You got friends going to this extreme haunt that they had heard about somewhere, and they go off into it. And that one, you don't get any explanation either. But it's okay because you get the feeling that these people do this to everybody that comes there.
Right.
They're not singling these particular people out. But in this movie, there's numerous clues dropped throughout the movie that they know who these people are. They even have frights engineered for these people. And they don't do anything with that information whatsoever. So let's get into it a little bit more, and I'll give you some more understanding of what I mean.
Yeah.
But so they go to this haunt. Now, here's another problem I had. There's people ahead of them in line.
Right, that you see for a quick second, that they're there.
Right, so you feel like, okay, this is a legit haunt, I guess, because there's people going through it. So then they go through it, and all of a sudden now we're supposed to believe that these people are being singled out. I mean, what do they do? They let some people go through it fine, and then these particular ones they murder? I mean, how does that work? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, the one group that went in front of them, I guess someone from there was killed. I think that was the first girl they saw, right? With the witch.
Yeah.
But we don't know, because they didn't show them. I don't know if it was necessarily that one or a previous group before them, even.
But we don't know that she was killed. That could have been part of the show.
Right, at that point we don't know. And and that's the thing, they try and do this, whoa, is it real? Because then there's that one character that says, oh no, that's part of the show, she's waiting outside for you. All these weird
okay.
It can't keep its own rules or its own plot going.
This is the problem with having two writers on a movie. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. I think that's the problem with this movie. But anyway, they go into this haunt, and this brings up another trope that I'm starting to really hate, and that's these kids go into this haunt that they know is an extreme haunt that they willingly went into, and then they act then they freak out the first time it looks like somebody was murdered.
Right, yeah.
And don't think it's part of the show, and then they're all terrified the rest of the time. And I'm like, seriously? The very first thing they see, they're freaked out. You just went into an extreme haunt. Why would your brain jump to the conclusion that this is real murders happening?
Yeah, and also another thing, and it kind of going back to that other thing, where they singles them out, where, they kind of imply, okay, this one guy apparently is afraid of clowns and he's freaked out, and the one girl's afraid of spiders, and it's all set for them. But yet it seems like they start that plot point, and it like kind of gets forgotten at some point.
Exactly.
And then comes back, and then you're like, oh, that's right. She called her old house a haunted house because of her dad, kind of a thing. And it's like, I'm like, oh, I forgot. That's right. You know, it wasn't until she was under the bed again and they did that flashback because it wasn't consistent. It never stayed consistent with what they were trying to do.
Like, if you're going to do that, you need to carry it throughout the whole movie, and you need to pick off each character as their fear. That's got to be the thing.
And throw it in your face. Don't.
Yeah.
You can tease, yes, but you can't just completely just keep teasing. At some point, there's got to be a payoff, and there wasn't enough of that.
Now, the other problem I had with which I have to say softened the second viewing. The first time I watched it, I was like, man, they're just kind of walking around this empty freaking building. Like, there's nothing in here. There's no scare actors aside from a couple, the witch and, you know, a couple that you see, and there's not much to this supposedly extreme haunt. Like, when I think extreme haunt, I'm thinking like scare actors in your face, pulling you, like dunking you in water, extreme.
Yeah, like McCabe. What's that? McCabe Manor
like,
on Blackout.
This quote unquote extreme haunt is basically walking through empty rooms. Oh, here's a hole you have to go through. Okay, I'll go through the hole. Oh, now you got to go through a spider tunnel. That's not an extreme haunt. This thing was less extreme than the stuff at Carowinds.
Yeah, and then they had like the you know, the thing that like Lake Compounds has with that room where you're walking through and it's spinning and you're supposed to walk on the bridge and not get dizzy. Like, what is that? Doesn't belong in an extreme haunt. That belongs exactly like in the Lake Compounds one, which is a big family friendly, really, really good haunt. But to me, that's not extreme. Extreme would have been that, but like with like spikes shooting, almost hitting you or something.
I feel like these people that are doing these haunt movies have never been in an actual haunt.
Right.
Like,
they think. They're like an extreme haunt is, I got to crawl in a tight space. There's extreme haunt. You know, no, that's not extreme haunt. Extremities did that.
Yes, that's the other
way better extreme.
Yeah, but Extremities was the same way. Like, it was the same way. It was like empty.
Yeah,
and I didn't.
But at least the things were extreme in it. You know.
Yeah, that's true. That at least for the few handful of things they had in there, they were extreme. But none of these haunts show the real chaos of an actual haunt. Which is why I'm kind of bummed. Now, I will have to say, that's why I like that other movie I talked about, which I can't remember the name of now, like The Scariest Night of Your Life or whatever movie. Because you could tell they filmed that in an actual haunt, or at least set one up close to that, because it did feel like a real haunt. This movie just didn't come off that way.
Yeah. Even Funhouse Massacre did it way better, you know, with their haunt. And that was a cool premise and you knew why. They literally, it was crazy psychotics took over the haunt and made it extreme, you know, and that's at least, okay, there's the reason why it's extreme.
Yeah,
makes sense.
The turning point in this movie, I guess you would say, is when they go to this room and you have to reach into these X-ray. It says these boxes that have these X-rays put up of different body parts, and you're supposed to feel around in there. And I don't know if you're supposed to get a key or something. I don't know what it was.
Oh no, I think you were just supposed to feel like it was like the thing of grapes with eyeballs, I guess, right? And
so the girl sticks her hand in there and she gets cut. All right, so granted, that would of course be frightening, and that would be a reason I would want to get out of the haunt. But for some reason, the reactions they had just did not I don't know, just struck me the wrong way. Like, it just didn't seem realistic that they would just they almost immediately jumped to the conclusion that everybody was out to kill them.
Right.
I mean, I would think if I stuck my arm in a hole and I got cut, my first conclusion wouldn't be some psychopath cut me with a razor. It would be I scratched myself on a nail or something. You know?
Exactly. And how many times have you done something like that where you've just, you know, and sometimes you don't even realize it. Like, you reach in, all of a sudden you look at your hand and you have this big gash on it. You're like, oh, what happened there? You know, I know she said, she felt like it, pain, but still, like you said, it could have been like that she just accidentally scraped her hand against something, you know, and it's, I don't know. And then the whole dramatic thing where the cut opens up a little bit on her hand. I'm like, come on. Well, I mean, overall, I think one of the, one common thing that bothered me about this is, you know, how they were, you know, everyone was saying how great this is, and how original it is. Well, you know what? To me, it took like pieces of so many other haunt movies and just threw it together, and not in a good way, and tried to slap on this, it's original. And it's not. It's nothing we haven't seen before. And every other time we've seen it, it's been better.
Yeah, and I don't even have a problem with that per se, because I don't, even if it's not original, I'm okay if it's entertaining.
I'm just saying, don't pass it off as original, which they were.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. That's definitely.
That's what I didn't like. I don't mind if it's, you know what, if I didn't hear that, one of the most original haunt movies or whatever. It's like maybe that was other fans saying it. I don't know. I don't remember. I just went into it with that in my head, so I must have heard it somewhere.
Well, let's talk about another thing that I didn't like. I don't like any of these characters.
Oh my God, I was saying the same thing.
And especially the dude that plays, was it Evan that was the really a-hole one? Like the heavy set guy? Yeah. He was, I don't remember, I don't think it's Evan, but I could be mistaken. But
look, I didn't even put him in the credits.
Yeah, he's a complete a-hole this whole movie for no reason. There's never a payoff for why he's that way.
And he starts off that way.
He starts off that way. Like, when he first came into the movie, I was like, oh, this guy's going to be like the bully or he's going to be the villain or something. Yeah. And he's never, like, there's no payoff. He's just an a-hole for literally no reason for the entire movie.
Yeah. And it's funny, I'm glad you mentioned characters, because that was another big gripe I have. I, too, did not like any of them. Even the girl that you're supposed to kind of, like, sympathize with, I had no sympathy for her, really. I just didn't care. And nothing about I don't think it's even her performance. I think she did fine with the material. I think it was the material. I think she was, I could tell she's a good actress, but, and it wasn't even the performances. I don't think any of those characters seem like they would belong together. They didn't.
Right.
They kind of, and like, I guess, like, it seemed like they just don't. Like, some of them, I guess, were they were the two roommates, fine, and then the whole thing with and then they kind of meet up at the bar, and all of a sudden, like, that one guy who's a total asshole, looks like none of these girls would put up with his antics, but they're like all friends with him, and and he's like leading the group, essentially becomes almost like the group leader at some point.
And he's a terrible person. He's got tremendous anger issues.
Yeah, none of the characters really were likable at all. Hellfest at least had like some stereotype characters, but they were ones that you liked or disliked. This, I didn't care about any of them. I couldn't care if they lived or died. I really did. And you can't not have that in a horror movie. You need to have, whether you want them all to die or whether you want them all to live, you need that side to take, I think.
Or if you're going to have unlikable characters, you have to have a reason for them to be unlikable. Because let's say they're going to get killed horribly later on, but that's okay because we've conditioned the audience not to like them, so it's okay that they die. In this movie, you never get really any reason why he's that way, other than he's just an a-hole and he's not pleasant to watch on screen. I don't understand it. Like,
and the guy with the bat, there was just like there was just no like.
Now, granted, I'm going to put it out there for you guys that are sitting there listening to this and going, "Oh my God, Tim's just being a complete jackass about this." If I miss something, please write and let me know and tell me what I missed, because maybe I missed some major plot point. I have watched this thing twice now already, and maybe I'm just not getting it. Why this guy's an a-hole and why I should understand why this was this way. But to me, if I can't see it after 2 viewings, there's something wrong with the writing. Sorry to say.
Yeah, like Joe Bob used to say, remember that line he said? He goes, stop, when people make an excuse for a movie because it's low budget, and he goes, it's not because it's low budget, it's because it's the script is not good.
Yeah, well,
because you could get a low budget movie and have an amazing script and end up with an amazing movie, as we've seen time and time again. And we've commented on movies that we know are low budget and that we really liked.
Well,
and so
here's another problem I had, and this illustrates the kind of inconsistencies I'm talking about. So this guy's screaming for help. The girl's arm is cut. So he's screaming for help. Nobody's responding really. They're starting to get separated. In the viewer's mind, you're going, oh, okay, because the haunters are really bad people and they're not going to help them, and now this is the turning point where they start getting picked off. And that's what we think in our mind. But then later on, the guy's screaming for help, and one of the scare actors goes, "Oh, hey man, you need some help?" And then we're like back, okay, so maybe they are okay. Like, and that kind of inconsistency is, like, you can't do that. It doesn't make any sense.
And they doubled up on that same twist. Like so they had the guy, like so they had that guy, and it turned out he wasn't a nice guy, and he was just kind of messing with them again. And then they did it again later with that one guy who was just like hired, I guess, to help out, and he didn't realize it was going wrong. And I'm like, you just kind of did this. I mean, I know it's a change. That was supposed to be the twist that, like, okay, this guy literally really is oblivious, like you thought that other guy was, but the other one wasn't done well enough to make this one pay off.
That's the thing. That's the thing. If you're going to do that, you have to set it up properly to so that there's a payoff. And you have to give enough clues that you can understand what's going on. You don't just. To me, it felt like a movie written by two different people, and I'm saying that because I've got a great idea, Brian. Let's have it where the guy we think is a good guy is like really bad. It's almost like they had all these ideas they jotted down of things that would be cool in a haunt movie, and then they just didn't tie it together right. Like they didn't build up to it correctly. So then. The most egregious part of this entire movie to me, and this is so nitpicky, and I'm sorry, you guys are going to hate me, I don't care, but as many movies as I've watched, horror movies I've watched, and people making dumb decisions, I understand, this one shouldn't get to me the way it did, but there's a sequence where girl's trapped under a bed, she's hiding from a guy, so of course she starts cranking a jack-in-the-box, because as you do when you're trying to hide from somebody. You make as much noise as possible. That's not even the worst part of it. So that gives her this jagged key thing that she uses to defend herself. Okay, that's great. So what they have is this saw-type contraption that they've rigged up where this...
Which, by the way, Julie saw right through. Right when she saw it, she says... Well, I'll get to it. You'll get to it. But yeah, she predicted it right away.
Yeah, it's a shotgun... connected to a jack-in-the-box type thing where every few seconds it goes dun 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 dun, and the gun goes off. All right, okay, great. So the girl nearly gets her head blown off by this thing. So then she starts crawling. Smart move, because the shotgun is mounted at head level. So as long as
and she did get hit, right? She got hit in the shoulder.
Yeah,
I think,
that's right.
Which they don't show that clearly.
They don't show that clearly. Another example.
See it later.
But she's so now she's crawling, which is good because the shotgun's mounted at head height. So as long as you crawl under it, you're perfectly fine. So she starts crawling. Then the bad guy comes after her. He's fighting her. Of course, we get the expected that she's going to fend him off just enough that shotgun blows his head off instead. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Now, tell me, Brian, why? She's seen this thing go off twice. She knows the timing of it. Why does she then stand up in front of the shotgun as it's about to go off? And the only reason she doesn't get her freaking head blown off is because it runs out of shells. And it goes dun, 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 click. But she's standing right in front of the shotgun with her hand, like her hand's gonna stop the shotgun blast.
Yeah, I there is no excuse. I mean, if I want to like scour my brain for reason, is she? No, you know what? That doesn't even work either. I was gonna say maybe because in all the like the fear, she forgot, but then she had just literally used it as a weapon. So there's no reason she should have forgot to do that. And here's another thing. The guy that worked at the haunt, he knows it's happening. Why did he put himself into that spot? I know. Why did he drag her past it, which you can obviously walk past it, and then go after her?
He set the freaking thing up, and he got his own head blown off from it. It doesn't make any sense. That's what I'm telling you guys about this movie. There's things in here that don't make sense from a writing perspective, and it's irritating. It's so irritating.
Yeah. And now we might as well go into this, which I understand why they use the thing, but the whole boyfriend thing, what a wasted of just scenes, to even have him involved in it in any way.
Yeah, because at the beginning of the movie you find out she's got this terrible boyfriend.
I mean, you're supposed to think he was part of it. Was that it? Because that was done horribly if you even thought that. And then they reveal that he was clueless to where she was anyway. And there was no point. I mean,
it doesn't make sense. That would have been brilliant if you had set up at the beginning of the movie. She's got this terrible boyfriend, and somehow somehow he convinces this gang of psychopaths. I don't even know how you do this, but he convinces this gang of psychopaths to lure them into this extreme haunt to pick them off one by one, which again doesn't make any sense really.
Right, but the motive would have been there because she knows that like all her friends are trying to talk her out of. Think about it. That actually would have been a motive because one, like the her roommate can't stand him and wants to get rid of him. The other friends were supporting her too. Now she's with a new guy. Well, there's a reason to hate him. And the other asshole guy is just an asshole and he's involved in it all. So why not kill him? He's exposed. So, I mean, that actually would have made a little more sense. But instead, they just had him. Like, I guess in the beginning, maybe she thought he was the one following her. But then they dropped that because then they're once at the haunt. Then he's forgotten until the guy says, oh, wait, maybe I can get him to come and save us. And then it's like he fails so miserably at it. It's like, so what was the point?
Yeah, it's like, why do you even have this extraneous character? Again, it's just bad writing. Like, why would you there's no payoff for this stuff you're setting up. You're setting up all this stuff, and then you're either not paying it off, or you're paying it off inconsistently, or you're
right.
or you're just generating quote unquote cool scene, bro. And just sticking it in the movie with no relevance to anything else in the movie. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of cool kills in it, and but then the whole thing at the end with it was like all of a sudden it became a Home Alone movie for the last.
Oh my
gosh!
Yeah, we got to talk about the ending. So now they've escaped from the haunt. She has a nice little scare scene where she wakes up in the hospital. I like that little part, and
she's messed up. I mean, she's got her skin ripped off her hands, basically. Yeah. Which, by the way, she's reacting really well, and she's walking way too well towards the end of that movie after getting a nail stuck in her foot too. Yeah. I mean, she's moving way better shape, in better shape than she should at that point. But we'll forgive that.
So the clown that's still these. At this point,
I don't even know which character's which. In all honesty,
so the clown's
I know
still
they're
after her.
Cool looking, but
so the clown now, I guess, is going to leave the haunt in full clown makeup and go to her house to track her down again for no reason.
And what's the time period there? Is it like, how did he know when she got out of the hospital? How did they I don't even understand.
And now they did set up how they knew where she lived because remember earlier he tells the guy, the heavyset guy, where his address is. Again, we don't know how he knows this information.
It's the form. That's the one part I think that links back.
They did have
because remember the nurse says it. She goes, "I need your consent form."
Okay.
And then she her eyes widen like she remembered, "Oh my God, my consent form has my address on it." That's the only thing that I think I got out of it.
Okay, well anyway, he shows up at her house and then we get this little, again, like Brian said, a Home Alone sequence where she ends up turning the tables and killing him with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I'm okay with that. But it was just, again, it felt like, oh, it'd be cool. Like, if, now the clown tried to kill her with a shotgun. So now, at the end, she kills him with a shotgun.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard. Because she obviously knew how to use a shotgun. Because she used it to... She used it to kill the other guy in the haunt. Yeah. And she has a shotgun in her house, apparently, hanging up over the fireplace she could use.
Oh, right, that they showed was gone when he walked in.
And of course, the clown noticed that because that's the first thing. I mean, it's this movie, it makes me mad just talking about it. And I don't know why. I feel mad, and part of me is not mad at the movie. Part of me is mad at myself because I feel like I'm being way too critical of this movie, and I don't know why.
Well, I think because you and I are such big fans of haunts in general, that we're going to look at it with a much more critical eye for that reason. And also, we've seen a ton of haunt movies that we like a lot better, so we might be holding this up to unfair standards at the same time. And I think there's also the factor of all the rave reviews leading up to it, so we went in expecting something different. And now, but it shows, obviously, that we watched it a second time now, lowering our expectations, and they didn't improve, which shows that there's a problem with that. And if you think about it historically, there's not many movies we really truly disliked.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I
show.
totally dislike this one, because I'd still find it entertaining, because I love haunt
No,
stuff.
oh yeah, I mean it had parts that like some good kills, like I said,
and there's certain aspects of it I really, really do like. It's just, I don't know, together as a whole, it just didn't gel for me.
Well, I feel like the things I liked, they didn't have enough of, and the things I disliked, they overloaded it.
Yeah.
And it was that imbalance. Like, I loved the haunters in this, like the creepy faces and like the weird deranged element. The guy, the clown that looked like Philip Seymour Hoffman. You know, it's like they had a lot of like I wanted to know more about them, and I wanted to see more of them. And it's so funny because it's like, I wanted the stuff that sometimes I criticize of other movies, but I think in this case, this movie needed it. Like, I wanted that clown to start doing this almost like a mini exposition on like, yo, kids, I'm going to destroy you because, you know, something like some kind of more interaction, a direct interaction with them. And we never got it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm wondering, I would have kind of almost, dare I say it, but I mean, if it's ever on cheap price, I may pick it up if there's a commentary on the Blu-ray, just to hear maybe that will shed some light on something that we missed.
Yeah,
possibly.
and I know a lot of people had problems with the writing in A Quiet Place too. They had some problems with the plot holes and stuff in that one. So I'm not giving these guys a fair pass quite. I mean, I'm not giving these guys a pass quite yet. That it's not some writing thing. And I'm not trying to criticize, because obviously I've never written a screenplay, and I probably never will. Yeah. So, but I'm just saying, there's a history there of weird plot things. So I don't know. It's gotta be tough collaborating like that.
No, I mean, you can't always be a Brian and Tim.
That's right.
You just can't.
So, Brian,
I don't even think we need to go in the trivia, because
there wasn't
really
very much there. No.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing exciting I'm looking other than someone got stabbed during it, and they list a body count of 10.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whoopee. But and half of it's if you think about it, half of it's the villains have the body count, which is weird when the body count for the villains outweigh the.
But if you guys please write in and tell us why we're wrong, because I'm fully accepting of the fact I might be way off base here. I don't know why this movie got under my craw like it did, but I would be.
But
happy.
both of us,
yeah, I don't know. But
Julie who's not labors through a lot of horror movies and has a lot. She
I don't
disliked it. So we have another third person that didn't like it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to hear. So,
but no, and once again, I will say, not everyone has to like the same thing. Some people like those movies. Some people don't. Some people are super critical, and that's what it is. So don't let us make a decision for you.
No, my God. Like Ken liked this movie, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, Ken liked it. Yeah. Same thing. Ken didn't like the pool. I liked the pool, but he liked the Furies, and I love the Furies also that I suggested. So I gave him 2 suggestions. He liked one of the 2.
Yeah, and there's absolutely no. I have no hard feelings. People that love this movie or like this movie, I completely understand. I've never. I mean, if you like a movie, that's on you. I mean.
Yeah.
Whatever. To each his own. I'm firm believer into each his own. So, but I do like hearing other perspectives. So I would like to hear other people's perspectives.
Like, I'm sure there are actually some people out there that like Paul Blart too. So.
Yeah. At least one, maybe.
Yeah.
So Brian, what did you come up with for our beer pairing this week?
So it's kind of a funny one, I thought, because it kind of has dual meaning a little bit. So it's Torment by Heretic Brewing Company in Fairfield, California. And I figured the torment was Tim and I having to watch this a second time, and the torment that the characters went through in the haunt. So it's 10%. So it's strong beer. It's this 10% Belgian style dark ale is dark counterpart to Worry, which is another brewery another beer they brew there. And actually, you should check this brewery out. It's kind of horror themed with this. It's got obviously named Heretic Brewing Company. That's going to be not a surprise with that. It says Torment is a rich beer with lots of caramel, malt, dark fruit, and Belgian candy sugar notes. The luscious, fruity character is full of caramel apples, candy pears, and chocolate-covered oranges.
Ooh, that sounds good.
So, yeah, sounds like an interesting beer. Probably better than the movie. But,
all right, so let's get to our triple threat. Last week we were looking for a director.
A softball that someone got. We only got one answer, but I think other people gave up on it just because it was too easy.
It was not worth their effort, really. Yeah. So the clue number 1 was one of my first films has spawned several sequels, a remake, a TV series, and even a musical. We were, of course, talking about The Evil Dead. We were looking for Sam Raimi as the director. The Evil Dead spawned 2 sequels, the TV show Ash vs. the Evil Dead, and even Evil Dead the Musical.
Which was awesome, by the way.
Clue number 2, I have 2 family members in the industry. Of course, Sam has 2 brothers, Ted and Ivan, who are both actors, writers, and directors. And clue number 3, while I had several actors and actresses appearing in many of my films, one of my most commonly used is a car. So over his years as a director, Raimi's 1973 Oldsmobile Delta 88, originally bought by Raimi's father for the family when Sam was 14, has quote-unquote played Ash's car in the Evil Dead movies. Uncle Ben and Aunt May's car in the Spider-Man movies, Annie's car in The Gift from 2000, and Mrs. Ganush's car in Drag Me to Hell 2009, and has made cameos in nearly all of his other movies. That's interesting. I did not know that fact.
Yeah. And also another little trivia he has in there is you'll always see a bottle of Maker's Mark in all his movies in some shot.
Oh, really?
Somewhere, because that's his favorite. And actually, Drag Me to Hell is another movie I want to do on there because that's one of my favorites.
I have not seen that since 2009, and I own it.
Yeah,
I really need to watch it.
Yeah, I loved that movie. I saw it in the theater. I loved everything about it. So that's one we should put on the radar to do.
All right. This week, we're going to look for a movie. Interesting. A movie. We're looking for a movie. Clue number 1, listen carefully. While this movie is only just over 20 years old, there's already a remake soon to be released. Clue number 2, during the production of this film, the director was gifted a bottle of vodka from the Pope as a blessing. And clue number 3, this was loosely based off a Lovecraft tale. Ken should get this one because he's a big Lovecraft fan. So
yeah, I think this is a gettable one. I think it's a little harder than last week, but I think the clues actually each clue kind of. I mean, obviously, if you're going to Google it, you could probably find this one pretty quick. But I always say try and do it without Googling.
Yeah.
But
I think the thing that makes this hard is there's so many possibilities because unlike an actor or actress, there's thousands and thousands of movies out there. But you guys can get this one.
Right, and also with a remake. How many remakes get made so fast now? It's like,
yeah.
All
right,
be anything.
Brian, let's move on to our Zubmondo for this week.
Yeah, so we're going to do it a little differently because with the searching and stuff like that, and sometimes we don't get a non-horror one. It just we
keep
end
getting
up with that little extra time.
Drink spit questions, which I'm.
So I didn't want to go with that one on this one. So I was trying to find I handpicked one, and actually, of course, the first one I handpicked turned out to be another edible one. I'm like, I can't do that to Tim again. So I'm gonna do this one. This is gonna get like almost a little bit like philosophical. Possibly.
Oh, okay, I like this.
So all right, Tim. Would you rather get a glimpse while still living of heaven or hell?
Oh, this is a very, very philosophical.
Yeah.
Get a glimpse of heaven or hell while still living. Well, I'm gonna say, that's a tough one because I could approach this in 2 different ways. In my mind, my first instinct would say I would like to have a glimpse of hell because that might persuade me to be even a better person. Right.
That's so funny. That is my exact answer I was going to give.
But on the other hand...
No wonder why we're friends, Tim.
Yeah, but on the other hand, then the part of me says, well, if I'm fairly confident I'm not going to hell,
right,
then maybe I would want a glimpse of heaven, just as a preview of coming attractions type thing. I don't know. I think I will go with my gut. I'm going to say I would rather have the glimpse of hell. Plus, being a horror fan, it would be more entertaining.
Right. That's the way I looked at it too, because I'm like, I try and always be a pretty good person, but you know what? I think you always want to be a better person. You know, there's always worries. Like no one ever says, you know what? I got to be more of an asshole. You know, no one says that. You know, most people say I want to be a better person. So I think maybe a glimpse of hell and as horrific as it should be. Should kind of maybe as a kind of a good reminder, you'll have that in your head next time you're going to do something that could be questionable or that you may maybe just cut that person in line, or instead of maybe offering them to do that, or maybe holding that door open for a couple of seconds longer, just anything to kind of influence yourself to be better. Yeah. That's how I would kind of see that. But then again, I thought of this. I'm like, well, I'd like to think some people, if the people that, if you believe in there's a heaven and hell too, and, you realize, you have loved ones that you don't See, like maybe that glimpse you might be able to spot them or something.
Well, see,
you know? And
there's another reason why I don't think I'd want the glimpse of heaven, because that happened to Buffy. And
see, I didn't watch that,
see,
so I didn't know.
Well,
okay.
this might be a spoiler. Spoiler alert.
That's
for Buffy.
okay. Don't worry
It's
about
a
it. Don't worry.
20-year-old TV series, but
Yeah.
Buffy actually went to heaven briefly, and when she came back, there was a whole story arc about how she basically couldn't function because she'd already seen heaven, and so Earth was like terrible to her. Like it sucked compared to what she had seen. So then she was like living like she really couldn't even be. It was almost like she was in a depression.
That's
back.
true.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. That's and then also like if you get a glimpse of hell, it might be having to sit through Haunt for a third time.
Right. Or well, then again, I'm
That
like,
was unfair.
maybe if I saw hell too, I'd appreciate New Jersey a little more. I don't know. Could be. Sorry, Cone and Ariel and all our Jersey friends.
We're being so mean. We're being overly mean.
Yeah, we're
now we're going there. We're setting ourselves up.
Yeah, we are going there. We might as well get a glimpse. Maybe we could stake out a spot, a good rock somewhere.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Well, we'll head out of here, and we'll be back next week. Don't know what the movie is. Maybe we'll do Drag Me to Hell. I wouldn't mind doing that one.
Yeah, that could be a good one. And what was the other one? Oh, we do want to revisit Midsummer at some point too, to see if my second watching for that improves my review on that. So we'll see.
We'll figure it out. If you guys have any suggestions, feel free to send them in to our Gmail account at civilgorepodcast@gmail.com or on our Facebook page or Twitter or Instagram. Just hit us up with some movies you'd like us to cover. We've had some really good episodes from viewer suggestions in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, some of our favorites have come from those, and we got a couple of good. After that, we're gonna have our special Black Friday episode, which will be, which I think we might have teased the movie already, but if not, we'll tease that coming up because we have that's shaping up to be a really really exciting episode.
Yeah. Oh, and you guys, I forgot to mention it last episode. If you guys completed the horror movie challenge, send us your form.
Oh yeah.
Send us your form and your address, and I'll send you a little something in the mail.
That's right. Yes, because you need to claim your prize. We don't want to
We don't
want Tim to go to hell because he lied and said he was going to send you a prize and didn't send it.
If you completed the horror movie challenge, send me your form and I will get you something in the mail.
Yes, and also we got coming up the next, just a little housekeeping to steal from Coaster Radio. Coming up, we'll also have probably our first December week. We'll have our annual holiday gift guide.
Yeah.
So that'll be some good because there's so many good things out there. We might as well just chalk the Oculus Quest on there.
If you guys have stuff
sneak preview
that you want mentioned on the gift guide, please send it in now. Start sending those in now. So
send that in.
Compiling them because we'll read your suggestions on the air. We'll have a viewers or listeners gift guide suggestions as well. So that'd be perfect.
Yeah. So I can't believe we're like literally wrapping up. We're coming to the end of season. It feels like season 3 ending will be here before we know it. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you back here next week. Stay out of those extreme haunts unless you can handle a cave full of spiders or crawling in a pipe.
Yeah. Look out for the pipe.
When you go thumbing a ride, you can never tell when you'll hitchhike to hell.
This is a motion picture that hits very close to home.